Hello. This video will show you the basics of installing and using the isCOBOL software development kit. We'll run the installation wizard and work through the options, including licensing. You should have already installed Java, either from Oracle or an OpenJDK vendor. I'll be installing 2019 R2, and I have Java 8 installed. We've supported Java 7 through Java 11 since our version 2019 R1. After installing, I'll demonstrate how to run one of our samples from the command line. The SDK uses wrappers to set up the environment for the command prompt, as well as the isCOBOL products and tools, and we'll look at those wrappers. Each sample has a readme.txt file with step-by-step instructions, and we'll use one of those. And we're also going to run a program and debug and access some of the tools. So let's get started. The first step is to download the product from our website. So go to support.variant.com and put in your user ID and your password, and click on Download Software. Find your operating system. Mine is a Windows 64-bit, and then find the SDK. I'll click and download it. And when it's done, I'll view it in the download folder. I'll double-click on it, and we'll get the wizard started. Go to Next, accept the user license agreement, and Next. And we have the products that we can install. Now, I want to install the software development kit, which is the compiler, the runtime, and the thin client, the first three. And you can see that the first one is checked and includes the second and third one. I'm also going to install the isCOBOL server because it's always a good choice. There's no special license required, and you can use it to run in a distributed environment. The load balancer is used to distribute clients to multiple servers. The remote compiler is used to compile programs on another machine, which is useful when you need to precompile the source code, and the precompiler is available only on the server machine. The database bridge is also called EasyDB, and that's where your COBOL file I/O statements are mapped to SQL databases. EIS is our web solutions, including REST and SOAP web services, WebDirect 2, and the new web client. Mobile is for developing mobile solutions to phones and tablets. And if you check here for the documentation, you can download it onto your desktop, though I prefer to view the online documentation. Click on Next. And it'll go out and search for the JDK that you installed. Here's mine. And I'll choose Next. I'm going to install in C variant. Delete the program files. That's because installing in program files means that you'll need administrator privileges to change or save files. And since the SDK installation includes configuration files and samples that you're going to be changing, I prefer to install it here in C variant. The installer will default to program files, however, because that's the safest place to install, and good especially for the runtime and thin client files when you install for final production. I won't add any of this to the path because it's done as necessary in the wrappers that we're going to use to execute the products, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I do want a Start Menu folder, so I'll say Next to that. .istc and .isws are nice file extensions to have if you're going to use the thin client or the updater, so I'm going to leave them checked. I do not want to install the Windows services right now. That would be the application server, because I want to configure it first, and I can install it from the command prompt. I do want to license these products, so I'm going to say Yes here, and we'll provide an activation key, and it says this is what the name of it is. My salesperson has sent me a file called iscobol.properties, and I put it in my downloads folder. So let's open it up. And here's isCOBOL compiler license 2019. I'll copy this string and put it here. And now it's going to ask for the runtime license. That's this one. Now paste it here. And you see where it's going. It's going to users administrator isCOBOL.properties. I'm logged in as administrator. And now it will install. It tells me where the license was installed. I'll say OK. And I do want to read the README file, so I'll check that, and we'll click on Finish. Here's the README file. It has 4 sections. The top sections are to show you some of the new features that are in this version. Section 3 shows you a list of all the files that we just installed. And that's it. You've installed the SDK. So now I want to compile and run a program that will create a data file. So we'll want to open up the command prompt, but I want to run it from here, our new installation, and we'll go to our isCOBOL shell. And this is a wrapper that will set up the environment that isCOBOL needs to use in order to work with Java. And we'll go to our sample folder and our data access folder and then files. And you can see that I have 4 COBOL programs, a properties file, and a readme.txt. Every one of our samples has a readme.txt file that will give you instructions. Let's take a look at this one. So here at the beginning, it tells me what this program does, gives me some generic instructions, and then step-by-step instructions for running the program. The first one is to go to the folder, and we've done that. And now it wants us to compile. isCC is the compiler, so I'm going to copy and paste and run this command. And then when we look, we can see that there are classes that have been created from those COBOL programs. These are Java classes. Back to my README document, I can see that in order to make a JISAM format file, I will need to run this command. So I'll copy and paste that. And it did make a JISAM file called file indexed. But I wanted to see how it made that file, so I want to run it in the debugger. In order to run the index.cbl program in the debugger, I have to recompile it with a -D switch. And it creates, as well as the original class, a debug infos class. And then I'll run it with the same command with an added switch of -D. And you can see the code here. We have a console section here, some variable watching areas. I'm going to run the program by clicking on the arrow and step through with this button. And when it displays something, it'll display it to the console window. And these variable values will be shown up here in the current variables. Or I can hover over it. It'll give me the information about it. Or I can double click on it. It shows the value down here at the bottom in my console window. And when I'm done debugging, then I'll just run the program. It'll run to the end, and I can close my debugger. So I have a JISAM file, and I want to get some information about it. One of the tools available from the command line is jutil. And this will give you information about your JISAM files. Here it has told us an awful lot of information, 1 key, record size, but it's also said that we don't have any records in here. Now I would like to add a couple of records, and I don't want to write a program to do that. We have a tool called Jiffy that will allow you to add records. In order for Jiffy to know which fields are available, it needs your file description. So I'm going to recompile this again with another switch called EFD, and that will create an XML file from the file description that Jiffy can use. And the program is indexed. And now you can see we have an XML for the file indexed file. Jiffy has a graphical environment, so I will go down to my start and into isCOBOL and find the indexed and relative file editor. And here is our Jiffy file editor. I'll open up the file, browse to it, and I'll choose my .dat section. And you see it picked up the XML file automatically. I want it IO because we're going to be adding records, and I'll click on OK. It says record not found, but we know that there are no records. we want to add some. And here's where the XML file is used. It knows the names and the type of data that go into each section of the file. I want to add a record. I'm going to click on the plus button, and we will add one record, and click on the check mark, and I'll add a second one, and check mark, and I've just added 2 records to my file. I can make sure they're there by cycling back and forth through them with these buttons up here on the toolbar. So I've shown you how to install the isCOBOL SDK on Windows and to run a program and a couple of tools. If you have any questions, please contact us at the information on the screen, or you can email us at support@variant.com. Thank you.